guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video we're going to be breeding some bristlenose plecos, and in particular these beautiful albino bristlenose plecos. The first step in breeding bristlenose plecos is to make sure you have a healthy male and female. You want to make sure you have adults, and the way to sex these guys is pretty simple. Adult males will have a larger, more pronounced head with bristles, while females will be slightly smaller and won't have bristles. It's also important to make sure they are well fed and in good health before attempting to breed them. Next, you want to provide a suitable breeding area for the plecos. This can be a cave, a hiding spot, or even a PVC pipe. As you can see, this particular cave is 15 centimeters long, 5 centimeters wide, and 4 centimeters tall. The male will use the cave to entice the female and as a location for the eggs to be laid. It's also important to keep the water temperature between 22 and 25 degrees Celsius with a pH level between 6.5 and 7.5. Before you actually start breeding them, it's important to note that while breeding bristlenose plecos can be a fun and rewarding experience, it's also important to be prepared for the possibility of having a large number of fry. Make sure you have a plan for housing and caring for them before you begin breeding. In addition, it's a good idea to separate the breeding pair from the rest of your fish in order to prevent the fry from being accidentally eaten. You can use a breeding tank or separate section of your main tank for this purpose. Right, with that all out of the way, we can actually start breeding them. Once the breeding area is set up and the water conditions are right, the male will begin to court the female. He'll fan his fins over the cave or hiding spot to attract her attention. The female will then lay her eggs in the cave and the male will fertilize them. It's important to leave the eggs in the cave as the male will continue to guard them and keep them clean. The eggs will hatch in about 5 to 7 days and the fry will be free swimming in about a week after that. So basically, once the eggs have been laid, you don't need to do much. All you need to do is just wait until the eggs hatch and just see them grow and develop. Right, so the eggs have now hatched and now they're in the wiggler stage. So basically they are still attached to the egg and have a little tail and a little head, and they are ready to go into a separate container. So this is the container I'm using. You can use anything. You can even use a separate tank if you wanted to, or you could even actually leave them in with the male. I just rather take them away so I know for sure that I can raise them, and also for the purpose of this video so I can show you how they grow and develop. But it's also perfectly fine to just leave them with the male and he'll take care of them until they are free swimming, and then the babies will come out of the cave and go in the tank and go looking for food. Anyway, you're just going to take the cave and pour them into the container, so they should fall out, and otherwise use a bit more water, give them some air, and we're good to go. So I also put some moss in the container, just, it helps with the water quality, and also a little hiding place for the fry to hide. As you can see, the fry are now in the container. They're loving it in there, they're doing really well, they're growing well. So it's actually a couple of days later, and you can see they're really forming into a little baby pleco. The yolk sac is slowly but surely developing into the actual body, and at this stage you don't need to feed them yet because they're still eating from that yolk sac. So we're just going to give them a couple of days and then I'll check back in when they're ready to eat. By the way, I just want to go over the stages with you. So basically, when the eggs have been laid, it'll take about 5 to 7 days before they hatch. When they hatch, they are in the wiggler stage, so they just have the yolk sac and the tail, and then a little head starts to form, and about 7 days after they have hatched, basically, they will be in the free swimming stage, and that will be the stage which I'll show you in a minute, and that's when they are ready to feed. Right, so we're now about 5 days later from the last clip. As you can see, they are fully free swimming now, so they don't have a yolk sac anymore and they're fully developed into a little fish. So this is also the time where we can start feeding them. And what I'm going to be feeding them at the beginning is just some algae wafers. I find that this works perfectly for when they are tiny, but also when they're a little older we'll start feeding some baby brine shrimp and stuff like that, because they will enjoy eating that. But here I'm just plopping little pieces of algae wafers in, and that should be all good for them. And of course they also like to have a little piece of cucumber, so we can give that like maybe tomorrow, and vary the diet a bit, because that's always good for the growth of these little fish. But basically they can eat anything that their parents would also eat, because with breeding you have two options. Or you can take, like I did, you can take the fry away and put them in a separate container and raise them up yourself, or you can just leave them in with the tank and the parents and they'll care for them and they'll just grow in there to adult fish. So breeding bristlenose plecos is just really simple actually, and it doesn't require too much work because most of the work is done by the parents themselves. Right, so we're just going to skip a couple of days. I moved them from this plastic container into like a breeding net because that will help a lot with the water quality as the water just flows through. And that's basically it on how to breed them, guys. So now they're just going to grow and they're going to grow until you can sell them and they'll be all good. So hopefully this video has made you want to breed the bristlenose pleco. It's a great fish to breed and really easy basically. But anyway guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and I'll see you guys next time.